Okay, somebody asked me to show how I lay up Meyer lemons to make preserved lemons. So I'm going to walk through that. First, in terms of equipment, for what I'm going to do here, I've got two 16-ounce ball jars. They've been run through the dishwasher for sanitation purposes. I've got the lids that came with these, and these jars have been used once, and then I have brand new lids to go on those. Cutting board, knife. I use a bowl, and I'll be showing you in a minute to actually crush the lemons before I put them in, and that's in order to be able to control the amount of lemon juice that goes into the mix. And the other thing I did was I used a stiff brush to clean the Meyer lemons. These are locally grown by somebody who's not a cultivator, but he's got this incredible tree that grows beautiful Meyer lemons. These are on the smaller side as far as the lemons that this produces. I think I've got a big one in the refrigerator. And I may be pulling that out because in my notes I have that 20 ounces of raw lemon is the amount that you want to stuff one of these 16-ounce jars. And if that's the case, I think two of these are probably going to end up being maybe a pound, so just 15 ounces, just under 15 ounces. So that would mean probably the better part of 3 of them for each of these. So I'd be getting out some more lemons before I'm all done. I've got kosher salt, which is one of the main pickling ingredient here, along with the lemon juice. Some people put some distilled water in. I'm not sure why I would do that, so I've never done that. I think they use a little bit to top off the jar at the top, and maybe the logic is that it's not going to eat away at the lid so much for any part of the lid that's exposed. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the reason. I may try that with one of these jars this time. So basically, after you've scrubbed off the lemons, this one I've already cut the ends off just barely. And then, now this is my method. It's not necessarily the method, but it's one that I like and works, especially with these large lemons. What I'll do is I'll cut it in half, and I'm going to immediately start seeding them a little bit. Any seeds that I see after I cut it in half, I'm going to go ahead and pop out of there. It doesn't matter if you get some seeds in, and you might even want to leave them all in, but it's a little more convenient for me on the preparation end if I get seeds out of there. So then I'm going to lay each of these ends, and I'm going to cut them once and twice. So I'm going to end up with 8 pieces of lemon. Now again, a method that I've seen, for instance, on the web is you take a lemon and leave it essentially intact. You cut it almost all the way through twice and splay it out, salt it, and push it into a jar. For just me, I can't really use that much lemon, even if I'm tearing pieces off of that. I lay up these small jars, and it's plenty for me, even though I use it in a lot of things. So now for each of these little wedges, I'm going to knock off any obvious seeds that are here, but I'm not too worried about seeds that are embedded at this stage, and you'll see what happens here. So the method that I've developed for doing this, instead of so in any case, you're going to put some salt in the bottom of the jar. These aren't precise measurements. I'll just give you a shot of the jar bottom. It's kind of barely enough to cover it. And instead of smashing the lemon into the jar, I'm going to smash it into this bowl. And the reason for that is to control the amount of lemon juice in the final product. And incidentally, it also manages to get out most of the remaining seeds as well. So I'm just going to put that lemon piece in the bottom. Repeat the process and just I'm going to put 2 of them in there. So that's essentially my first layer. Let me get something to push down with here. That's essentially my first layer. I'm going to throw salt on top of that. Not a ton of it, but a decent amount. And now I'm going to keep going like this. And you can see there's some seeds in this one. And some seeds that have already come out into the... So basically most of the seeds are coming out when I do that. So now I'm going to basically just do another layer. Like that. There's a couple seeds right there. Not a big deal. I should have knocked those off. So you can see what I'm doing for each layer, basically. A pretty hefty dusting of salt. And I'm going to keep going here. And eventually, I'm going to be topping the jar off with the remaining lemon juice. As I mentioned, I might try topping one off with a little bit of distilled water, just for the heck of it. Now we're almost through one of these large lemons. And remember, these lemons weigh, the smallest ones are like 7 ounces, and I'm sure I got them up to 12 ounces. Okay. Push that down. Get some more salt on top. Another lemon. This lemon's a little firmer, not quite as ripe. Now, as to whether you really need to use Meyer lemons, I guess that's an open question. These particular Meyer lemons, you can almost eat as a fruit versus as a garnish. They're that sweet when they get really ripe. I see no reason you couldn't do this with an ordinary grocery store lemon, let's say. They do sell Meyer lemons in my Publix certain times a year. They're quite small. What I'm going to do is grab the strainer. It wasn't all that smart the way to do that. Get out another bowl for the next time I strain some. So what I did was I poured off that lemon juice because it was getting a little awkward to squash the lemons in that amount of juice. So obviously you can just go directly from the box. And I'm just generally maintaining a rough proportion of salt to lemon, which is eyeballed and just based on what I've done before. So I'm Ready for another lemon. Oh, I just cut it the wrong way. Well, that's all right. As long as I get it into 8 pieces, it doesn't really matter. Now, as far as using these, you'll see recipes that call for preserved lemons. Some of them call for the pulp from preserved lemons, and some call for the skin. Some don't seem to specify. Personally, the only way I've ever used them is both the pulp and the skin. And what I'm basically doing is dicing up the skin, and the pulp is attached to it. I've never made anything where I felt that having the pulp of the lemon in the dish was going to detract in any way. It's just more lemon flavor as far as I'm concerned. And in the case of these preserved lemons, it's a deep, salty, lemony flavor. Once these are set up, after they've sat out for a day or so, then they go in the refrigerator for about a month, and then you're able to use them. Now, the idea is to have these totally submerged. And it's the more the merrier as far as how many you fit into a jar. You can see I've got more lemon juice than I need to submerge these. I mean, I've got easily half a cup there. And I'm not even through with this. Alright, let's see how I'm going to finish this off. I could leave it kind of like this, shy of the top. As long as they're going to stay submerged, I think that's probably okay. I'm going to go ahead and throw a couple more in there. Salt. Easy way to take care of these seeds is if you smash a piece of lemon and then just feel with your fingers, you'll feel the seeds, and you can just knock them off into the juice. I think the trick is just kind of getting them wedged under the curve of the jar so that they'll stay like that. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and put this lid on here. And that's going to sit out for a couple days, at least 24 hours, and then go in the refrigerator. I'll shake it up periodically while it's curing. So I'm going to go ahead and do another one. I'm going to have to get out some more lemons, but that's basically how it's done.